Hello everybody and welcome back to Games Night. Today I'm joined by Ben and Pyrian. We're going to play Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective. We're like Sherlock Holmes' irregulars, his B-team.
His B-team, like he's a bit lazy. He's already solved this case, and this is like a training exercise for us.
Yeah,
to see if we can figure it out.
Typical.
So it's The Tin Soldier, case 2. So Ben did case 1 before, I think, and this is your copy of the game. So you vaguely know what you're doing, and so you're going to help us play it, because we've never played it before. Mm-hmm. And so we start by reading a little bit of blurb. There is some chat here with Watson and Holmes.
Yeah, we start off with them.
So if you want to be Holmes, I'll be Watson. I think there is some dialogue. We're at 221B Baker Street, celebrating the conclusion of our previous case. Did you enjoy that, Ben?
Oh, it's jolly good.
When we hear a clamour in the street below, followed by the ringing of the front doorbell and then the sound of heavy footfalls on the stairs. So this is...
It seems as if our moment of triumph is to be but short-lived. Come in, Lestrade.
Okay.
What does that mean?
You need to do that in a Holmes
It
style.
seems as if our moment of triumph is to be but short-lived. Come in, Lestrade.
Lestrade timidly peeks in, his face betraying surprise at being recognised before he is seen. Really, Holmes, exclaims Watson. I suppose you will tell us that Lestrade rings doorbells in a most distinctive way, and that you would recognise his footsteps anywhere?
No, my dear Watson, not at all, Holmes chuckles. But since the trip from the front door to ours was made in seconds and was unaccompanied by a warning screech from Mrs. Hudson, it must be presumed she knew the caller. Who else would be in the window for a few moments? Who else would be in such a hurry and gain immediate entry but Inspector Lestrade with some pressing and professional matter? Besides, while at the window a few moments ago, I glimpsed the inspector's carriage turning into Baker Street. Inspector, now that you have regained your breath, how may we be of service to you?
This is like classic episode of the new Sherlock, isn't it?
Sherlock just being a
Mrs.
smug,
Holmes in there.
Smart.
Already, he's showing off his skills. Lestrade pops down in the chair and gasps out, General... You can do Lestrade, there you go.
General Farnsworth Armstead, one of the last 6 surviving Waterloo Tontine ticket holders, has been murdered.
Right.
Gasp.
Sorry, what is he? Sorry, go again. One of the last surviving...
Waterloo Tontine ticket holders.
What is that?
Watson says.
Waterloo Tontine?
A lottery of sorts. In 1815, the Tontine was set up to aid veterans of the Battle of Waterloo. Wellington's victory over Napoleon.
Of course.
For
we all know that.
For the history buffs at home.
For £1, one bought a ticket in the name of a young relative. Longevity is paramount to winning, you see.
Right.
The ticket proceeds amounted to over £1 million, half of which immediately went to the veterans and their families for medical and hardship expenses.
Oh.
The remainder went into a bank account in the Bank of England, where it has been collecting interest for all these years. The sole surviving ticket holder shall claim the prize.
Oh my God! So it's a contest of
Like the episode of The Simpsons with Grandpa and Mr. Burns are the last
what
ones.
What are they called? The monkfish?
The flying hellfish.
Flying hellfish. Yeah. That was it.
Monkfish. Come on, monkfish, let's go. Terrifying.
Oh, is it me again? Okay. A king's ransom, certainly. Who are the surviving ticket holders? So Ben, who
The
are...
oldest, Captain Robert Jurgens, 82. Then Anita and Claire Thomas, twins, 80 years old. William Rowland, aged 79. Peter Dudley, 77.
Well, there's quite a lot of them left.
Yeah.
And General Armstead was the youngest, at 74.
Were 2 of them women? Were 2 of them women, Lestrade?
Yes, Anita and Claire Thomas, both 80 years old.
They served in the Battle of Waterloo.
No.
They bought the ticket.
Elderly relatives gifted them tickets.
Gotcha.
I see. You had to be alive back then to buy a raffle
They bought the ticket, gave it to the kids. When the kids grow up, hopefully by that point, everybody's
All
dead.
the other ticket holders have died.
Gotcha.
Well, 1 million ticket holders, I guess they started off at.
Well, assuming they were £1 a pop, they're probably a lot less
raised
than
£1 million.
Yeah, but then you're implying that there are 1 million ticket holders.
No, it would have been at one point.
Many people might have bought extra tickets though.
Yeah.
Also, I doubt you'd sell them for
tickets?
£1 back in the Battle of Waterloo days.
You don't
That's enough
need
to buy
one
a street.
ticket. You don't need one. You're not going to live.
No, you can't. There's no point in buying 2 tickets.
No, there isn't.
None.
Unless you were going to give it to 2 of your babies.
Because you still get the whole caboodle whether you've got 2 tickets or not. I bought 1,000 tickets.
I guess it has to have your name in it, right? A name on your ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Holmes kicks in at where it says the Times.
Times is sponsoring some big to-do involving the Tontine survivors on the 18th, says Holmes. And you say, I assume.
I assume.
No, that's right.
That's right. A Waterloo anniversary banquet at the Langham Hotel.
Why is the name Armstead familiar?
Why is the name Armstead familiar?
Perhaps, Watson, you are thinking of the General's book, Treasures of the Conquerors. I say, he was a noted art collector, I believe.
Indeed he was, Mr. Holmes. All right, let's carry on with this. He was interested in valuables which at one time belonged to famous military men. The book traced the history of the various objects and how they passed from collector to collector. Quite a sensation it was, if you know what I mean. At the time of his death, he was working on a revised edition for his publisher, Norgate and Company. It was to contain an entirely new chapter on a fabulous diamond called the Polar Star, which at one point belonged to Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's brother. The General had new information which traced the gem to its present owner. What do you think, Holmes? Right, were you following that?
Yeah, so the general who has been killed, the youngest ticket holder, was writing books about rare military artifacts.
Okay.
And he'd recently discovered the whereabouts of this priceless jewel.
The Polar Star.
The Polar Star.
I think, Inspector, that you should tell us the circumstances of the General's death, says Holmes.
At 10 o'clock this morning, the General's valet and former batman, David Schnett, admitted to a caller to the General's study.
So he had a visitor.
He has a visitor, yeah, that's right.
His batman admitted to caller to the General study. He had a visitor.
Yep.
The caller was an elderly gentleman, hunched over his cane with a French accent unknown to Senate. It was all very unusual in that the General never sees anyone in the morning while he is at work, but the gentleman insisted that if the General would read a letter, he would be the exception to that proven rule.
Right.
And so it was.
So he gave him a letter.
He's handed him a letter and said, he'll see me. This is important.
I see.
And then he read the letter and was like, yeah, let him in. Senate took the letter to the General. He went very pale when he read it. He told Senate to let the man in, sensing something amiss. Senate dawdled in the area of the study for the next 15 minutes or so. Suddenly, he heard the distinct sound of swordplay.
Clink, 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 clink.
He then tried to enter the study, but found the door securely locked. As he attempted to force it, he heard a crash of breaking glass. He gave up and raced to the kitchen and out the back door to enter the study from the garden. The caller had quite vanished by the time he arrived, and the General was leaning against a display case of military miniatures, the shattered top of which accounted for the broken glass.
Okay.
Before Senate could assist him, he dropped a rapier from his hand and fell down dead.
Okay, right. So we've got a lot of strange things going on here.
I take it that the letter that so upset the General was nowhere to be found. Say correct, Mr. Holmes.
Correct, Mr. Holmes.
Well, Inspector, we shall put our brains and our feet to the task. And you say thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
No problem at all. Just here to do our job. That's right.
Okay.
I'll get my worst team of
I'll get
losers
the
on
team
it.
of shitters on it.
So, first
Enter
of all,
us.
Yeah.
we got a few clues here immediately that I noticed. So the caller, the murderer, was obviously an elderly gentleman hunched over his cane.
Could have been a tontine ticket holder
He
himself.
could be a tontine ticket. Or the other, there were tontine ticket holders are Robert Jürgens. That doesn't sound like a
Sounds
French
German,
name. Sounds like a
doesn't it?
German name.
Right, but if he's on the border with France, he could have a...
Could have a French accent.
Funky
He's quite
accent.
old as well. The ladies wouldn't be those. William Rowland, age 79. Peter Dudley, 77. So there are gentlemen who it could possibly be.
But it does seem unlikely that a Frenchman would buy a ticket to support
And
wounded
also-
British soldiers after the Battle of Waterloo.
But it's not just about that, it's also the chance to win a shitload of money. It's
But-
not just a charitable thing.
That's
is
true,
it?
and I mean maybe he's trying to knock them all off, and this is just going to be the
So he's
first
alarmed.
of
Or-
many.
Napoleon's cousin's priceless jewel. Napoleon was French.
Yeah.
This guy might be involved in trying to find
It might be
that jewel.
Napoleon Bonaparte.
Dun, dun, dun.
Case closed.
All right, what else have we got? So he heard this crash of breaking glass. The display case of military miniatures was shattered. That's what broke the glass. That's strange, isn't it? Because I thought the breaking glass would be the crash of him getting out
Or
of
being
the
thrown
window.
out the window.
But no, it was the case of military miniatures.
But I guess by the time the butler was running around into the garden to looking through the back window, the Frenchman could have unlocked the door and left out the door.
The general was leaning against a display case.
Yeah, so he's running through, the general's dying, he smashes the glass, takes something from it and runs out. Or
the general falls back and smashes the glass.
Possible.
Like steady.
But it
I
said
wonder if
the
he
top
took
of it
something
was
out of the display case.
Didn't it say that the top of the display case was smashed? If he'd fallen against it, I would think it would just be cracked behind him.
Wouldn't he have maybe smashed it and taken something out?
Exactly.
We could go to the scene of the crime, interview people there.
That might be a good
Crime
idea.
scene is always a great place to start.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, Mr. Holmes. We will.
This time, Perry's got the hat on.
Hello.
We look forward to taking on this challenge, and we shall be off into the streets of London forthwith.
Let's go, chaps!
Quickly, carriage.
Call me a hansom cab.
Yes.
Where is the crime scene?
Where is the crime scene?
It
Yes.
should say in there.
So, right. It should say in here, should
Like,
it?
what's his name?
His
The guy's
name
house?
is General Armitage.
Armitage.
General
Look
Armstead.
him up in the direction.
Armstead.
General Armstead. So we need to look him up. So we have a series of informants that we can draw upon.
General Farnsworth Armstead, 27 Northwest.
27
He's
Northwest.
here somewhere. Do we put a little counter on here to show it?
At the Armstead home.
I'm going to make notes.
Okay, 27 Northwest, Armstead home. You make notes. I'll start reading it. At the Armstead home, we find that the police have cordoned off the premises. And it is only after mentioning Inspector Lestrade's name in a loud and indignant tone that we are able to gain admittance. We pass into a large foyer which houses some of the General's art collection. On one pedestal is an alabaster vase. Or an alabaster vase.
So many different ways to say it.
An alabaster vase.
Vase.
A card states that it once belonged to Alexander the Great, given to him in tribute by an Egyptian prince.
He's just got it in his foyer.
Yeah.
This lad's minted.
Fucking hell.
In a
Yeah,
glass.
you don't get a Hyde Park view.
Even
It's
a
on a
note.
pedestal. On a glass enclosed niche is a jade necklace once owned by Augustus Caesar's wife, Livia. All in all, there are 15 objects in the foyer, none of which appears to have been disturbed.
All priceless if someone was trying to rob him.
Yeah. At the study door, we are met by the General's valet and former Batman, David Sennett.
What is a Batman?
Batman is, we had this yesterday. The Batman is the guy, it's like a military thing. You'd have a guy who was like your valet in battle if you're a senior officer. So what you would do is he would be the guy who does basically odd jobs for you, digs your foxhole for you. He's like your valet in war.
He's like
your
a golf
war valet.
caddy for war.
For battle.
He's like a squire, modern day squire.
Yeah, but
okay,
then
yeah.
in civilian life, he would often come with you as like your servant.
Your guy.
Yeah, so he's like, my Batman will fetch your bags from the car, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like we were streaming yesterday. My Batman will fetch you a tissue for your nose. We don't have to both of us leave and go and get it ourselves. Apparently we do. Still salty about that. We judge him to be the General's contemporary. That is, in his 70s, more by his white hair and weathered face than by any deterioration of his physique. He's in fact slim and athletically built. One has no problem imagining that his uniform 40 years ago still fits him perfectly. Ramrod stiff, only his eyes betray any emotion, and they are quite red, as if from weeping. He readily agrees to conduct us on a tour of the premises. Now, how do we feel about the Batman?
Seems like a nice guy.
Well, I mean, he reported the crime, so he's obviously at the top of the suspects list, right?
What is the only other name we have?
One question. He's obviously been working for the General Armstead for years and years and years. The idea that he suddenly turns on him now in his dotage, I find unlikely. I think we should just assume that he's just a regular
This
guy.
guy would
to
have had
start
any
with.
opportunity
over
to
the
do-
years
to
he
do
could have done
anything.
And why wait until you're old and grey before you kill your boss and get rich?
And also, the whole, the ticket to get rich, if he wanted money, first of all, an old man doesn't tend to want money. That's
that's
not
true.
like looking for money. And also, if he wanted money, if this was a robbery, those things in the foyer would have
He
been
could have
taken.
stolen that necklace years ago, easily.
Yeah.
Replaced it with a forgery or just claimed there was a break-in?
So there's definitely some sort of emotional motive here or something else. Yeah. He readily agrees to give us a tour of the premises. The study is a very large room, devoid of furniture, save from the desk at the opposite end of the room. To our right between two bookcases is the glass enclosed display, the top of which has been shattered. In the glass case is a diorama of some 200 military figurines. Hanging on the wall above are flags, sabres, a hussar's pelisse, and some other military equipage.
Equipage. What a word.
Can we ask him
Army
what was,
stuff.
Army stuff. Can we ask him what was in the case? Does that come up as a thing we can ask him? I mean, how do you handle questions?
You just get Don't worry, you get what you get.
I like this. This
Okay.
is because it's kind of covered a little bit.
Okay.
The general called this his Waterloo Wall, explains Senate. These are mementos of that great battle. And of course, the tontine ticket. The ticket, a large certificate, is framed and hanging about eye level amongst the other paraphernalia. This is where I found the general, says Senate, leaning over the diorama. He must have smashed the glass with the pommel of his rapier. What does the diorama represent, we ask? Well, you ask.
And what does the diorama represent?
It is a depiction of the last great British charge which swept the French from the field at Waterloo. The Iron Duke, as the Duke of Wellington was called, is waving his hat to signal the advance. Senate points to the figure representing Wellington. These are all the military figurines. While all the other figures are advancing towards the viewer, Wellington is turned around in the opposite direction, that is to say, facing the wall. How strange, says Senate. He's about to set it right when we caution him that nothing in that room should be touched until the police investigation is completed. On the wall opposite the Waterloo Wall are hung 2 crossed cavalry pennants. Below them, at man's height, is a single rapier. There is a dust pattern on the wall which crosses it, indicating a missing twin. It is the rapier that the general had, explains Senate. A chair normally placed by the desk for the use of visitors has been moved against the wall under the rapier. Faint footprints soil the fabric of the seat. So I guess
Someone stood up on there to get
Grabbed
something.
the sword down.
To take the
someone
sword.
pushed the seat over, climbed on it, and took the rapier off. Now that strikes me as very odd.
Especially for an elderly man.
Well, first of all, that they had time.
Yeah.
It didn't get heated.
He had enough time to climb up there and get it down.
Also, the general fought back because they heard the sounds of sword play.
Yeah, they both
You wouldn't
had a
hear
sword.
someone just stabbing someone with a sword.
Yeah.
So at some point, someone took the time to get a chair, put it up against the wall, climb up, take down a sword, and then do battle. So
Maybe it was like a
Curious.
fun thing. Maybe they were like just
Horseplay.
maybe it was friends. Like they were like, oh, good friends. And it's like, oh, and he went up, got the rapier down.
I doubt that.
They had a rapier fight. Where did the other rapier come
Yeah,
from?
did the other guy bring his own?
Maybe. But
did-
surely his Batman would have noticed him coming in with a
Yeah,
sword.
he would have-
I mean,
he would have
a rapier
spotted
is
that.
not small. It sounds like, I mean, this is just a theory here. But this chap sounded like a French guy who'd maybe turned up. Maybe he'd also fought the Battle of Waterloo, and maybe they had unfinished business and decided to settle it right there. And he turned Wellington around because he was,
It's like, fuck that guy.
he's a Napoleon guy. He's like, fucking Wellington nerd.
So, several handwritten pages which represented the revisions of his book, Treasures of the Conquerors, so this is the general's book, are strewn on the top of his desk. Senate tells us that the general was working on it when the visitor arrived. These particular pages deal with the history of the gem, the Polar Star. It traces its ownership from Napoleon's brother up to a Russian, Count Rostov, who acquired it in 1872, and then from whom it was stolen in 1887. So it went from Napoleon's brother to Count Rostov in 1872.
And was then stolen.
Was stolen again. Next to the manuscript is a letter from Pierre Matin. It simply states that he is prepared to divulge the name of the present owner of the gem for an agreed upon fee. Information and money are to be traded at the Bridge House Hotel at 10 a.m. on the 12th. Right.
What's the date today?
What is the date today,
It's the
Ben?
11th,
Oh my God, is it?
I think. It says on the front cover.
11th of June. It's tomorrow.
We must attend that meeting and espy from a distance who is there. That's
Well, maybe we can solve this case today, though. We will find him before. Also of interest is a notation in the general's appointment book for the day of the murder. I guess yesterday. 1 p.m. French Embassy. The general was to meet with an old friend, Jean-Paul Gérard, says Senate. Monsieur Gérard was an instructor at the École Militaire when the general was sent to France in 48. Were you with the general in France? We asked Senate. Oh yes, I've been with the general almost 45 years, he says. So, on the day of the murder, he had an appointment at the French embassy
It's all getting very Frenchified.
with an
up in here.
old
Yeah, it
friend,
is.
Jean-Paul Gérard, who is French. An old friend. He's an old man. This is a French.
Do we know the guy who came to the door?
Not yet. Finally, there is a small framed photograph of a stern-looking woman on the desk. That's the late Mrs. Armstead, says Senate. We detect a note of hostility in Senate's tone and inquire about it. Well, sir, you might say that Mrs. Armstead and I never really got on. You might say that Mrs. Armstead did not get on with anyone, including the General. Theirs was not a love match. No, sir. Lord Fitch was in danger of having a spinster daughter on his hands, and the General, well, sir, he saw it as a way of social career advancement. It was an arranged marriage, sir, nothing more. But surely something between them must have developed. Why else would the General keep her picture on the desk? Actually, it was placed there to tweak Mrs. Armstead's brother, the present Lord Fitch. You see, a good deal of Mrs. Armstead's wealth, and so the General's, was held in stock in various companies. Her brother also held stock in those companies, and whether they liked it or not, and believe me, they did not, Lord Fitch and the General were in business together. Lord Fitch was to see the General this morning, but he never arrived. Normally, that picture resides in the lower left-hand drawer of the desk.
So he left it out just to annoy his brother-in-law.
No. Don't touch the crime scene.
So...
Shall we lift it out? No, so he left it out. Sorry,
so
I think he said, shall we lift it out?
No.
He took it out.
He put it out just
just
like,
to
I'll see
annoy
my
him.
brother-in-law later, this will annoy
There's a
him.
picture, just to remind you. Yeah.
So is his brother-in-law Lord Fitch?
Yeah.
I guess the current Lord Fitch.
Presumably their parents.
So the Lord Fitch was supposed to see the General this morning, but he never turned up. Why didn't he keep the meeting?
If he knew, he was already dead.
He didn't die until... wasn't killed.
Poirot style.
When was he killed? What time was he... We don't know, do we?
Oh, we're saying the initial briefing.
Right. What time was the murder? 10 o'clock.
10 p.m.
10 a.m. it happened.
10 a.m. It happened this morning. Mm-hmm. Oh, it happened last night.
Nope.
So it happened at 10 o'clock in the morning.
So he had an appointment this morning with this other chap who never turned
showed.
up.
And then he was
Sounds
supposed to
unlikely.
go to the French embassy at 1 p.m. That's interesting. So going back to this morning, could you describe the caller for us? He was a short, old man. He wore a black cape, and he carried in his hand a carpet bag.
Second, short,
Old, black
Carpet
cape,
cape,
carpet bag.
carpet bag.
Oh,
Did it have a sword in it?
and he also walked with a cane.
Oh.
Now, you classically rapiers you go in the canes.
hidden in the cane.
Oh, classy.
But then why would the General have time to get a chair, climb up and grab a rapier of his own?
Maybe this guy didn't come to murder him. And the General was like, oh, how dare you? Oh, I'm going to go get my sword. And then this guy was like, oh, shit, I better defend myself.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
If that was the case,
How dare
then-
you blackmail me, sir?
Yeah, blackmail perhaps.
So, he didn't give a name. No, he simply asked to see the General and presented a letter, which he intimated that the General would want to see. You didn't see the contents of the letter? No, but the envelope was very yellowed with age, and was addressed in a very graceful hand to Captain Armstead, 12th Hussars,
Captain.
the General's old regiment.
Wow.
So
So this letter should have gone to him years ago and has only now caught up.
When Captain Armstead read it, he went very pale. Then in a subdued voice, he asked me to admit the gentleman. When you
this is so healthish, isn't it, from The Simpsons? Yeah.
Maybe he'd made a promise to someone long ago or something. And this guy came to claim on that deal, and the General...
Well, it's addressed in a very graceful hand, which implies it might be from a woman.
Maybe. His real love. And
his true
he
love.
married for money and left love...
A French lady that was like taboo.
Perhaps.
Oh my gosh. When you finally got into the room, through these garden doors, the study door was still locked, correct? Yes, that's right. The garden is surrounded by an 8-foot wall, and the only way into or out of the garden is through the house, correct? Yes. Either through the kitchen door or through these doors. Right, so he went missing, this man, and he got out somehow from the house.
So there's only two ways out of that room, is he saying? The doors and windows.
There's only the front door
Yeah.
or the kitchen door.
Right.
Couldn't he have just gone out the front door?
Well, the door's still locked
The study door was still locked.
Oh, yeah.
from the inside.
So he must have gone out through the garden into the kitchen and then out the kitchen
But it's
door.
an 8-foot wall.
He
So
couldn't have-
perhaps
he
he
couldn't have-
wasn't
he couldn't
as
have-
old as he seemed.
Well, in that case,
Maybe.
or he either scaled, an old man scaled an 8-foot wall, or snuck out through the kitchen.
Or, no, because the butler guy came in via the kitchen, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he would have bumped into him.
Unless it was all done and dusted before the butler came round. Because the butler heard the noise and then was like, oh, I can't get in.
Yeah.
Ran around. And by the time he'd got round through the kitchen, the guy might have already gone. Is that the end?
That's the end. That's
Can I
all,
just
that's
have a
all the
nose through it
information.
while we're
Yes, you
thinking?
can.
Okay, I've got a lot
So
of
there's
notes.
a lot of information
There's a lot
there.
of information there. So the key things I've picked out, let me know if I've missed something, is that this Russian count had the gem from 72 to 77, and this fellow Pierre knows where the gem is now and was going to meet him tomorrow. If the general paid this Pierre chap the money tomorrow, he was going to tell him where the gem is now.
Right.
He also had an appointment at 11 p.m. at the French Embassy to see Jean-Paul Girard, and there's this Lord Fitch, brother-in-law, who he had an appointment with in the morning, who didn't show up. I mean, obviously this mysterious old Frenchman is the prime suspect.
Which are our leads? Which leads are we following up on? I mean, we need to follow up on. There's different things here. There's different reasons why this murder could have happened.
There's a lot, isn't there? There's potential old war stories.
I think it's very suspicious that Lord Fitch didn't turn up to his meeting, but he could very easily just fob us off by saying, "Oh, I was too busy." So I still think, if we were being thorough, we should check on him. But I think that at best he's going to say that. He's not going to say, "I did it, you got me."
Now we do have the newspapers.
Oh, right.
To glance through if we want to know what's been
Today's
going on.
newspaper. Well, I think we should go and have a nice cup of coffee and sit down. Sit down. A cup of tea. Sorry,
Watson.
a cup of tea, and maybe sit down and just read.
So maybe we could see if we can pick out any of these names from here and see what these guys have been up to recently.
Has anyone been in the newspaper lately? That's tricky, isn't it? Wow, this is a very long newspaper. Which one do I have? Do I have today's?
I have today's. You have last month's.
I have last month's newspaper. It was sitting.
These are specific to this case.
They have information relevant to the case.
Wow.
Well, it's obviously relevant to us.
Hello. If you enjoyed our games on Games Night, you can actually pick them up on the Yogscast store. There's all the games we played, Camelot, Bang, a bunch of D&D stuff. So go ahead, take a look, maybe buy some Yogscast t-shirts while you're at it. Thanks for the support. Cheers, guys.